Okay, I am struggling to make this video, you guys. Oh my gosh. Normally I sit down, I make a video, I'm done. This is like take 6, seriously, because I was asked a question quite a few times, and I can't seem to take this question away from just like money saving stuff. So I'm just gonna put this video in one and call it a day. So the question was, do we use a travel agent when we travel? And the answer is no. I don't think he's ever used a travel agent. I've never used a travel agent. And we travel we travel like on a penny. So I figured I would just share some of those tips because we didn't use a travel agent. Now, if you're looking for a very like specific itinerary and schedule and like must see things and you're cool at that stuff, then I would think a travel agent would be great. If you're kind of in the middle of the road and you're not into like we travel where we land, and yeah, we usually book a hotel room, but we just hit the streets and we're like, let's just dive into the culture and just immerse ourselves as much as possible. Neither of us really into any of the touristy stuff, so it's great for us. Get a bike. We love riding bikes anywhere. Get a bike or just walk. We'll walk 13 miles a day pretty much every day when we travel. So our style of travel is a little different, and keep that in mind. If you're like in the middle of the road, there are apps that make things really, really awesome that we've, been told about. Like, for example, I think it's Google Trips will give you like a day by day like action plan. Like, hey, this is what you should do in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and you're hitting all of these like big destinations within the place that you're at. So there's apps like that can help give you a really good guideline. So there's that. Okay. When we travel, I'm just going to kind of break it down of like, here's how we do it. We have a week. We're like, oh, okay, we've got 4 days. We've got 7 days. We've got 10 days without our kids because we're both divorced, both have shared custody. When we get that time, where should we go? Like, we have this time, let's plan a trip. So the first thing we usually look at, is what's off season. So you can kind of use the equator, you're looking for the crappy weather. And I know this is super unappealing to a lot of people. For example, Seoul. Seoul's above the equator. It's going to be cold. It's in general, it's going to be cold. It's going to be awful. It's definitely going to be a place that you probably want to see in the spring or the summer when, the trees are blooming and the flowers are blooming and everything's beautiful, right? You go the opposite, all of a sudden it's a whole lot cheaper. So so that's the first tip, is go places off season. That's going to save you like half right off the top. Everything's cheaper. Okay. From there, search various airports. So if you don't live like in a major city or a major hub, and even if you do, search nearby airports as well. It can be amazing. For example, you saw that we flew to San Jose and drove to San Francisco. We flew to San Jose, we rented a car, and we drove to San Francisco because it saved us $200. I think it was like $200 after the rental car and after everything else. That's a chunk of change. That was almost plane ticket to get to Seoul. So another thing that we did is we did book our airfare from San Francisco all the way to Singapore. We chose the crappiest flight, which was the cheapest flight, but it gave us an entire day. It's like 17 hours or something, I don't really remember, in Seoul. So it was kind of like a bonus. And because of that, this is the unappealing part where my mom's like, oh, I don't know how you do that. That's awful. We spent 2 nights in a row in an airplane, which means, so we had 2 red eyes in a row. Yes, exhausting. Yes, tiring, especially when you spend the entire day walking the day before, or the in-between day. But that's 2 nights of not having to purchase a hotel room. That's a big deal. That can be a lot of money. So right there alone, huge. And the airfare, just for example, I don't remember exactly what we paid, but it would have been more expensive for us to fly to Texas than to fly to Singapore. Just for example, that is how cheap international airfare is right now. In fact, check out Norwegian from various places. It's very specific. There's just certain days you have to be flexible. There's just certain days, and certain cities, but like, for example, Vegas to Paris right now is like $165 certain days, but it's that cheap. So we're considering it for a birthday for his oldest daughter. So that's something to consider. I mean, and that's why I can give you that exact number right now. Look at other cities, look at flying to different cities even, or driving and then flying from there. That'll save you a fortune. For us, it's like, I don't know, we probably save 75% off of any flight if we don't fly out of where we live. Tiny airport. So that's always an option. And then once you're there, a big money saver, I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. I'm sure there's a million of these videos out there, but just this is specifically what we do. And I feel like at this point, you guys probably have a pretty good idea of our travel style, is we take public transportation. Another reason why I love to do this versus like a cab or an Uber or anything like that is because you do get a better taste of the culture. And there's something about like being with the people who are like on their work commute or who are celebrating a holiday or whatever that is kind of special because you actually feel like you're somewhere different. Whereas, and this is in my very own personal opinion, just me personally, if you do a lot of the real touristy things, and this is segueing into something else, it kind of feels the same. It doesn't matter where you're at. They all kind of feel the same. So we like to avoid that. So we do like to take public transportation. We also like to kind of just do the local thing. And for us, a lot of that time is just hitting the streets. Just, all right, let's just go. And we do. And there's times where you saw like in the Bangkok video where we were taking that, the tuk-tuk, yeah, back to the train station. We walked so far away. We got to the point where we were just like, we should probably check. And we were miles and miles and miles away from the train station because we just go and you get so immersed in the culture and the people and like, oh, look at that street, look at that street, and let's go check that out. I want to see that statue. And you just go. Maybe we missed some of the bigger things, the big like, oh, this is what you're supposed to see here thing, but we try to hit those things. I mean, you saw us, like we did Wat Po twice because we went on a public holiday and which was the first of the year and it was free admission. So all the locals were there. So we really got the local feel that day. And then, you know, we went back the next day because it was something we really wanted to see. But, if you have those big things and you kind of just like play it by ear, you get to see some pretty awesome things. Basically all of Korea was just play by ear. We knew where we were starting and from there we just hoofed it and we walked the entire day and just found things and it was cool. As far as hotels go, you know, price them out, just depends on what you want to do. I'm good with hostels. We're not in a hotel anyways. Who are you kidding? He likes to do, he prefers like the nicer hotels. We oftentimes meet in the middle or we each take a couple days and plan. Let's see, what else is there? As far as food goes, we've taken trips. Like we did Costa Rica a while back for an entire week and we spent $700 and that included each. But that included the airfare, that included the hotel, that included all of our food. We did do a couple of activities. We did like a chocolate thing. And then we went to it was a jaguar sanctuary thing, just to support them. We did that. Unfortunately, I had food poisoning that day. It was a little rough. So, one thing we did on that trip, that was like the super saver trip of all super saver trips, was we bought tortillas and beans and like hot sauce and we just ate that. We made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, ate just kind of roadside stuff. It's probably why I got food poisoning, but it was the cheapest trip like ever. So it was pretty, I mean, that was super incredible. So just kind of eating like the locals also helps. So if you are walking down the main street, you're in this amazing place and there's tourists everywhere, walk 4 streets that way or that way or that way, get away from the tourist stuff. The meal prices are going to be cut by like, I don't know, I would say 75%, 50, at least 50%. So just getting off of that like main drag saves you a fortune. I'll go as far as souvenirs. So we did buy a couple of souvenirs. I think you can even see some Buddhas sitting up there that I'm supposed to, I still need to give those ones away. We bought some soap. What else is up there? Yeah, I don't know. The hat. I left that in the hotel room and he ended up bringing it back. We needed that out of necessity. And we got really cold at one point. And souvenirs, with the exception of those, usually when we travel, all we buy is a magnet. And that's it. And it is a great way to not add to your luggage. Oh, there's another one. And then still have something that you bring home. So I did a video once on our magnet board and I love that. Luggage is another one. So often you see people with like 5 massive suitcases. You have to pay like a lot of money for these things. So a lot of airlines make you pay to check a bag, which is anywhere from what, $25 to $75 or more, depending on what it weighs. That's a lot of money just to spend on bringing clothes. It's obvious that there's not a fashion show situation. When we travel, we dress. I mean, we wear the same things. And if we want to just, you know, we usually take our backpacks and we can typically carry them on. Not all planes do they fit, but for the most part, we can just, you know, carry on backpacks or even just take like, you know, like a school backpack. And worst case scenario, do some sink laundry. I mean, we get really rugged. So I know a lot of times it's like, oh, you're going here, you're doing that, you're doing this. But these trips are very, very inexpensive. You know, I just don't eat out. And after a couple months, you can afford to do these trips. So it's just, for us, it's really just going, immersing ourselves in the culture, exploring on our own. You guys, if you don't do the day trips and stuff, it saves a ridiculous amount of money. We did one on this last trip because we wanted to go out to the island. I wanted to go out, get on the water, see the beaches, do that thing. And it was really convenient. So we did, and it was the most expensive thing we did. It was ridiculous. So just because we drove out and we did the island thing. We abandoned our kayak group because they were taking too long. We were like, okay, like we're not going to stand here all day. Goodbye. We're also not very patient people. So maybe that's like, as far as like just waiting around in groups of people, like it's not really our cup of tea. So we're usually just like, all right, bye. We're going to go. We're like, can we just leave now and take our own tour? So that bit of the kayak tour that you guys saw in our Krabi video when we went out to Hong Island, which was so packed. When we went out there, we were supposed to be in a big group, but after about 20 minutes, we were just like, we're literally just standing here. And we told our guide, we're like, can we go? And she's like, just be careful. I'm like, all right. So that was actually supposed to be a guided tour, and we just left and did our own thing. So our patience level, we're awful. Oh, we're just so bad sometimes. We're so bad. You also saw, we stayed at one of the most amazing, that was his Christmas gift to me. We stayed at one of the most amazing hotels in the world. Literally, like in the world. Just, it has an entire documentary on Netflix on it. Or an episode on Netflix about it. The Marina Bay Sands. We literally couldn't stay for like 2 hours. We just were like, all right, let's go. And we just hit the road and we just started walking. And that's just, I'm so thankful I found my travel partner because I know it's not normal. We know we're not normal, but those are our tips. Those are our tricks. Those are our big money savers. So I hope that helps somebody, some way, somehow. If anything, at least now I know about like a really cheap fare to Paris. So there's that. But you got to go when it's cold. There's the fine print. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.